morning, everybody. Good morning. You know what? I just looked at this. This is not the screen I want to be on. There you go. I have to remember that, like, it doesn't really matter which order of the stories that I have on. It's just nice to start the morning with an image of porta potties. We're going to get to this story at some point, but it's not our first story, but it's so many people got the shits at Download Festival, Lex, that there's an investigation. Yeah, like so many people got the shits at Download Festival that there's an investigation. People were pooping their pants at the festival. You know what I'm saying? It's a tough day. So we'll get into that. But I was just saying it doesn't matter which story I start first, but each day when I start this program, I just need to remember that I just need to have a fun image up. And what better image than a row of porter potties at the Download Festival? Have you ever been in a situation like that? You know, we'll have to look into it. But one the thing is like once you're out at a festival, so we're going to Rockfest um, next month, and this got me thinking. We don't want to be out there and have a "oops, I crap my pants" moment. Tough times for them. How you guys doing today? What's good with you? Let me get back to my guys here. If you could, please share the stream. If it's your first time seeing this today, this is William versus the World. We cover music, music industry, social media, and technology each day, every 24 hours on a weekday. So I appreciate you guys for showing up today. We got a couple stories. I'm not gonna burn through them. This is the first time. Good morning, Hans. How you doing? This is the first time that the heat has been like. At least I can manage in here. It's been hot the last couple of streams, so it's like woof. Trying to get a stream done is difficult. We don't have a window in every room to put an air conditioner up in. So it's like you gotta get cool where you can. You know what I mean? New England doesn't usually get this hot. I know everybody's maintaining and dealing with that and staying well hydrated. So you guys dealt with it. I think it's gonna be a little. I think it'll be a little calmer for a few days. So Hans, you won't have to worry. It won't be so hot for the next few days. You want to go like that? Do you want to go like that? Thank you. Appreciate it. Thought this kid's fucking falling apart over here. Our first story today, um, the era of free music streaming may come to an end. And I've been telling you guys, I've been warning you guys about this. Um, it's just nice. I'm not happy that people are unhappy with the current state of music. I'm not. Um, but I will say this: it is kind of nice to hear people telling the truth about it. I will say that. I am excited and a little relieved to hear more people reporting on it because it's fucking annoying being the only person sometimes talking about it because after so much silence, people start to get the impression they start imagining that Maybe this shit is folklore. Maybe the information uh, that the few of us have been trying so hard to get out to people, um, maybe it's not as important. So it is nice to hear that there are more people other than just the usual suspects and blogs covering this. And the more that people cover it, the more we can make sense of it. Because we all need to hear it from different people, different styles, and different presentations. Somebody might get a piece of information from me, um, but maybe I can't explain it or deliver it to you in a way that someone else could, where you would benefit. So, depending on who you are, it's hard to talk to our families, to our loved ones sometimes. It's hard to talk to people we know. Sometimes it's nice to hear it from a stranger, because you don't got to wake up and see each other every day. Me and my Xbox friends sometimes make a little bit of a joke of how nice it is to be friends on Xbox because we don't have to wake up in the same neighborhood. And it's not really dark humor. It's a real appreciation, um, and a level of quality, respect, and privacy, and the ability to have different feelings and ideas. Music makers are tired of getting peanuts from ad supported streaming. Free music streaming has been a huge part of digital music for over 10 years, but now it's under threat. Since free tiers pay artists even less, reports and industry experts are pushing for platforms to let go of free music streaming. Instead, they suggest charging a small fee for listening with ads for multi-beneficial approach for both sides. Artists will get a fairer compensation while platforms can also earn more. Spotify and hold on, and if you guys want to follow along, um, I like this here at Headphone Honesty because you can pull up and it shows you the author here, and it shows her experience. I love this little feature, this little pop up on the side here. So you can go to Headphone Honesty if you wish to follow along. If you don't, I know a lot of you guys aren't really concerned in it. You find a lighter? I thought you were off. I thought you were floating off on space on me. Okay, had to check on you. You had that look. I was about to get the defibrillator out. Are you okay? You had that look though, like you were about to, go into outer space. Yes, if I check in with you 2 or 3 times and you're looking into space like that, I'm ready to get out the defibrillator. I go into machine mode. I know I started alive and you're like, and I'm like, yo, man, what are you doing? What are you doing? I can't do two things. I'm not gonna be able to do both. I gotta pick one. Right, right, right. I'm like, share the chat, catch the person. I don't know. Last time you went out on the live stream, it scared the shit out of everybody. So don't even try me. Sometimes, yeah, get some water. Thank you. I can't win. Yeah, I don't know if you guys were here the time this child passed out on the stream on Twitch. So now I don't, you know what I mean? I don't know what to expect. Yo, what up? Wow, listen, man. Hans, John, John, Hans, John, Sean. Where's the other Sean? I am getting, I've already got the show started, trust me. But I had to stop briefly because I thought one of my staff members was staring into space. And it definitely when that happens, I don't know what's going on. I'm really this is a real cognitive environment. When we unplug here, something ain't right. Something ain't right. Yeah, now she's laughing though, but you see what I'm saying. Yo, yo, Han said it too. He said, "Do I have to tie a rope on her leg so she doesn't float away?" No, you think it's a joke?
It's when you said cognitive environment. That's really weird.
Yo,
Skyrocketing
hello.
humor.
I said, "You gonna like that?" No, there was a step-by-step process. Do you want me to tell you it? Okay, here it goes. I finished. I did. Yeah, I'm going to. I finished. I finished. I finished my coffee. Right. I said, "Hey, you want to come out and smoke?" And I said, "Yo, you had a blanket wrapped around your knees." And I said, "What the hell's wrong with you? Like you look like you were in a car accident." I'm serious. I said, "What the hell's wrong with you?" Now it's hot in here, so I'm like, you know what I mean? I'm wondering now if you guys can imagine this, like her grandmother like knitted her a blanket. It's not like a blanket like you lay in bed with. It's like a blanket like you're sitting in an office chair, and you have a blanket like a person's wearing shorts, like it's cold or something. It's not. It's fucking 80 something degrees in here. 87 degrees or something. I checked 2 hours ago. So I'm like, why does this kid have a blanket on? Now you guys see where I'm going with this? I'm like, this kid's got a fucking blanket on. All right, you know what I mean? Like, it's cool. I've seen shit like that before. But not only are we cognitive, we likes the pot here in the office. I'm like, hey, let's go. Usually we're, alert. So I said, and I went out to go wait. I said, oh, this kid didn't show up. I said, oh, man, what's going on? She shows up. I bake out a pile of tropical trees and put him in the pot to see, break up these trees. I'll be back in a minute. I come back, the trees ain't broken up. I said, yo, you all right? I said, yeah, no, I'm good. I said, all right. I get everything ready. I start the stream. So I come back, the trees didn't break up. I said, man, fuck it, I'll just break it up myself. So I'm going, getting ready for the stream. Then I sit down, getting ready for the stream. I had the joint rolled up. And now I'm like, yo, light that whenever you get a chance. She picks up the phone, plays the phone. I started the stream. I said, yo, I was talking to you guys about the environment or some weird shit or whatever, which is like her expertise. Completely floating off and looking like this. Looking around the room. I said, what the hell's wrong? In my mind, I'm going, what the hell's going on with this kid? This is not a typical Lexi. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, what's going on? Now, normally when she starts, in the past, when she starts staring into space like that, she's going down. I said, what the hell's going on? So I was like, okay, you're going to light that? She goes, she's looking off. I said, hey. Brandon's like, puff, puff, pass. You're right. Are you okay? All right. Holy shit. Please drink water. Is there anything that I can help you with or help out anybody with before I start this stream? Well, no, I can't start the stream when y'all looking like you're crazy. No. Nope, because then the stream will be an obstacle, okay, at that point to real life. I start the day with the people in the home. I start the day with the people in physical reality. I love everybody at home. Brandon, everybody's okay. I need to make sure you're okay. We need to be confident, and that this goes for you guys at home too. Don't start the day with making the excuse that something is a priority in your phone or on social media or streaming. When your friends are staring off into space looking goofy, you need to pause the stream. You need to pause the chat. You need to pause the video game. And you need to make sure the things that are happening in your real world cognitive environment, you need to make sure that that's plugged in. Especially if you're the most responsible person in the world. That's me. No, because the last time that you passed out on the stream, there was nothing we could do about it. When you're because before you pass out, you're unresponsive, just like that. You see what I'm saying? That's a real life concern, and with the heat and everything that's going on right now, and me and Hans were just talking about this, so I don't know. Brandon says it here too. Brandon's the dad, and he's also my age. Absolutely, real life is what's more important. The conversation in the room and the people that are in the room are more important than the people online. Even though we love everybody at home, they're okay. They're okay. What matters to you at home and everybody at home, what matters, especially when it's hot, or I don't care if you see your friends crying or you see somebody staring off into space, or you're concerned, you know, or your kid's got a strange look on his face, or somebody doesn't look right. Take care of your home, wake up in your household, and don't allow the excuses and the obstacles of the phone and the internet to do that. Because some people are counting on that. Some people are counting on you to be all wrapped up in your stream or be wrapped up in what's going on the internet and what's going on. And that's when we miss out the important things in real life. I'll turn the stream off and go get the defibrillator. Just like before. So I always check with everybody. You know, do you need help with your day? Thank you for letting me know. I'm reading this now. I appreciate you. Let me know if it's better right here. Is the volume better on the microphone now? Melissa, this has been a weird start to the day. Weird frequencies. Did you guys like my new background? You guys, to all the adults in the room listening to me, chin the fuck up, smarten up, pay attention, self-awareness, self-health, keep an eye on, keep an eye on your surroundings, protect your children, wash your fucking hands, pay attention to what you're doing, especially around me. All right, so I've been trying to drive home for a while now. I've been trying to drive home the case with free music and freemium tiers. You guys put a 1 in the chat if you are guilty. If you are guilty of stealing music and listening to free music and not paying the musicians. Here, I'm going to put a 1 in the chat because I am a thief. See that? See that? I'm a terrible, terrible, terrible person. Someone's going to cut this up later as a reel and be like, look at Will. He's admitting that he's a terrible person. Yes, I'm admitting I'm a terrible person, and so are you. You're a terrible person because you say things like support local music, and you haven't been to enough shows this year. You are a terrible fucking person because you have been streaming music for free or even at premium levels. And you know that streaming music doesn't pay musicians fairly. And you've been streaming the music anyway. You're a bad person. Because we all know that we've gotten a message from a musician or from our neighbors recently who said, hey man, can you check out my new single or check out my new music video? And we've already forgotten about it. I'm guilty of it. I'm guilty of not going to local shows enough. I'm guilty of not supporting my neighbors. I'm guilty of not investing in enough of my neighborhood network, my local businesses. I'm guilty of stealing music. And so are you. And we could start dealing with this whole stealing music stuff as soon as we can all start to admit that we've all been doing it. And we've been benefiting by stealing music. And when I say stealing, I mean not paying the artists fairly. For instance, Spotify or iTunes, when you ask most people, they say that people don't get paid fairly for a stream. So I offered the solution: artists should only upload a quarter of the music, or whatever bare minimum length requirements the music was to upload it. Because if the DSPs are not going to pay a full amount to the musicians, then the musicians should stop uploading the full amount of music. You see what I'm saying? Thank you. It's easier because I don't have to get up. Appreciate that. So that, you know what I mean, so that's my response to that, you know. So it's like being an alcoholic or having a problem, gambling, because that's what it's like to be a musician in the modern day music industry. It's like having a gambling addiction. And we keep pulling a lever on a slot machine hoping to win big or go viral. But this is like being an alcoholic. In our, you know, our neighborhoods and country has always had a problem with alcoholism, right? But at least with alcoholism or fentanyl and stuff like that, we all know that fentanyl and alcohol have been an ongoing self-destructive ingredient to our communities and neighborhoods and our country as a whole, right? We know that, right? And we can talk about it openly, and there's places to get help, and there's people that believe you, and they're right. But when we talk about the addiction to gambling, there are self-help communities. There are pamphlets and awareness, and we talk about the dangers of social media. There are social media networks and groups and self-help literature and advocates. But this is the same thing, you know, when we talk about not paying people for jobs and labor wages, whether it be at Walmart or whether it be streaming music and musicians getting paid for their live shows or for streaming music. There's no industry like the music industry where the entire fucking world thinks it's okay to not pay somebody that invests their whole lives into what they do. There is no other industry on planet Earth where it's so comfortable for consumers, developers. There's no other industry in the world where shoppers want an unlimited, unequivocal amount of media and music for free, including live performances, without paying the musicians fairly. Like if you're on a hockey team, for instance, you can show up and sit on the bench. You're still getting paid in professional hockey. But in professional music, you could be on the court or on the field and still not get paid. There is no industry like that. There's no industry where you can be a chef and be cooking people food and not get paid. Culinary art. Performance arts. Martial arts. You know what I mean? Like even martial arts or visual arts or graphic arts. There's no other art but music specifically. Consumers and fans of music, myself included, are guilty of stealing music because it's become easy to, because everybody's doing it. You go like, damn, why am I guilty of doing it? Because it's easy to. Everyone's got a cell phone. Everyone's got it. We didn't all have jukeboxes in our pockets growing up. Not everybody could afford a CD player. You know what I mean? And if you bought a CD or a vinyl, you owned whatever, you owned the data that came on that. You own the data on direct to consumer products. So, I go back to referencing alcoholism, where we can talk about alcoholism, we can talk about gambling, but we have a hard time we still have a hard time talking about paying musicians fairly. It's like something that we just can't talk about openly. We could talk about sweatshops in Asia, or almond groves in California, but we can't something that we use every day, a product that is in high demand every day. You can't have an almond commercial without musicians. You can't have a self-help group at AA without the power of music. You can't have a Budweiser, Bud Light commercial without the power of music. You can't. There's no movies. There's no video games. How would you work out or start your day without the motivation of music? How is something so in demand? How are we all trained to not compensate for something that's in such high demand? That's a neat little trick. Did you just do the worm? Cool.
That's hilarious. That's funny.
That is funny. So, like alcoholism, we have to admit that we have a problem. You see what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to show you. Like gambling, we have to admit that we have a problem. We have a problem consuming this kind of media. We have a problem consuming this kind of art and just refusing to pay for it fairly. Everything's a little fuzzy. What do you mean? What do you mean, the stream? I can look at it and tell you. What the fuck is going on today? No, it looks good. I don't know what's going on. This is a strange day, man. Some bug shit. I'm sturdy. I'm regular old me, everybody. So that's the thing, you know what I mean? We kind of gotta admit that we have a problem with streaming. And what's the problem? The problem with streaming okay, is that it's one click, it's 1 degree from piracy. We had pirating music, and then 1 degree from pirating music, we have streaming, and we haven't moved the needle since. And I think we need a few. I think we need to turn the dial. I think we should all together try and attempt, and we are to. We don't have to get rid of streaming, but while we are making it better, we should be exploring other avenues at this time. So, but we're not going to do that. Um, People aren't going to get rid of gambling or fentanyl, or they're not going to be able to confront their addiction problems with shopping or social media until they could admit, right, that they really have a problem and a concern. You see? So until we admit as shoppers, until we admit as fans of music, until we admit that music is valuable enough to pay for, until we can all admit that we all kind of have a problem um, just accepting what these tech developers throw at us, that we haven't moved the needle, and that our favorite musicians, all these hardworking professional musicians that are pursuing professional careers and trying to make a living, at least minimum wage. Uh, I think we're at a time now. I think it's safe to agree that we can all agree to pay musicians fairly to perform and make music. I know I am. I'm ready to discover ways to do that because we've all been watching free music and pirated media for 20 years, maybe a little bit longer now. But 20 years for sure. We all have Pirate Bay and LimeWire, and we've all done it. The ringtone era. We're all guilty of it, myself included. You know how much free music I used to have? Files and file sharing and seeding and all of that. I was into all of that stuff. Cracked video games and all the free video games, in the early and mid 2000s that you used to get off the torrent sites, Pirate Bay and all of that. That was everybody did it. So you had that era and then the Napster stuff and then, right after piracy, you had streaming, and we just haven't done anything in a long time. And who knows, like maybe if we explore new ways to treat musicians, if we find new ways to understand and package and value the music, maybe that will encourage streaming to get better and improve. All right, anyhow. Spotify is the biggest music streaming service and has always offered a free tier to attract users. Many thought this was a great way to turn casual listeners into paying subscribers. But now, people are starting to question if this approach can last. To put it into perspective, Spotify only made $389 million from ads in the first 3 months of 2024. This is a tiny part of their total earnings, even though most of their users listen for free. So what they're saying there is they only made $389 million from freemium listeners, meaning the ads that are on the music. For free listeners to listen to the music, ads will play prior to the music. I think at 30-minute intervals. I'll have to ask one of the others. But somebody that listens to Spotify probably knows better than I do. But last I knew was like every 30 minutes they give you a couple back-to-back ads. So they're saying out of that the money that they made from people listening to those ads, the money that they've calculated, those ads have generated $389 million from ads in the first 3 months of 2024. I know all of you are sitting there like, 389 million, like that's good enough for me. Yeah, but to them that's like nothing. That's like Swedish fish. That's like Swedish fish money. That's like Sour Patch Kid money. This is a tiny part of their total earnings, even though most of their users listen for free. So there's even more information there. They're saying, let's break that down. They're saying that most of the people that listen to Spotify listen for free. That's what you can take away from that. People that listen to Spotify and like it, those people will not pay for it. That's what that's telling you. Most of their listeners on Spotify listen to Spotify and use Spotify because it's free. They only made 389 million from ads from their free tier in the first 3 months of 2024. That is impressive. On the other hand, paid streaming made up nearly half of all recorded music money in 2023. The big difference is making people in the music industry clamor for immediate change. So I've been talking about this for years. As the music industry keeps changing, there's more pressure to fix this gap and make money from all types of users. Industry leaders have noted a widening price gap between free and paid users, particularly in mature markets, which they argue need to be addressed to ensure fair compensation for artists and sustainability for the industry. Now look, everybody, come on, chat. Now, when I say that, everybody says, William, you're whining. When I point out what that article just said, let's go back. Let's go back. Industry leaders have noted a widening gap between free and paid users, particularly in mature markets, which they argue needs to be addressed to ensure fair compensations for artists. Now, that's why I opened up the conversation with fairness and mutual compensation. It took a while for the article to catch up to what I was talking about, but this is why I'm saying it. So for those of you who think that that is something that I've just made up in my head, or maybe something that is only a concern to me, I hope this helps you understand. I love and respect y'all, and I know you guys take into account some of the things I say on this program. But when I talk about compensation for artists, and I continue to bring that up, it's like mentioning to somebody that they got a gambling problem. You know, it's like mentioning to society that we have a fentanyl problem. It's like mentioning to a whole large group of people why we have a problem with alcohol and fentanyl, and it's like trying to explain and get through to people and say, look, no, we actually really do have an issue as a country, as people that love musicians and love don't you guys love performers and performances and music? Of course you do. We have a duty, we have a responsibility, just like trash men or roofers or anyone that's trying to survive and make a living. Okay, anyone that's trying to, make the rent, and they're not a complete psychopathic criminal. People deserve to be paid and compensated fairly for the jobs that they do. No. We love if you could put your hand up and say, man, I love music, and I love musicians, and I love sepsis, and I love Jelly Roll, and I love cannabis, and I love Biggie Smalls, and I love drill rap, and I love Taylor Swift, and I love whatever you're into, whether it be metal, whether it be reggae, whatever you're into. Don't you love music? It's like asking. It's like asking a group of gamblers, don't you love pain? Don't you love having a roof over your head? It's like asking, a group of alcoholics, don't you love your body parts? Don't you love waking up every day, being able to walk and breathe and move around without a trip to the hospital? Because if you do, we need to find a way together. We have an issue with the largest group, people that don't even drink. You know what I mean? Those people still have a common concern because they have family members and they have people in the community and they have stores that that sell booze and people that drink and drive. So it's not, oh, I don't drink, so it's not my problem. It is your problem because you drive on the roads, because your children play in the streets. You feel what I'm saying? If we love music, then we have a duty and a responsibility to care about how musicians are compensated. And this is including me. You know, I'm also guilty of streaming music. And what does that mean? That means that I have an access to the library of all, and I have not. I have that catalog has been devalued to the point where I'm not willing to pay for it. And that's a tough pill to swallow. So, big names are calling for change, not just me. I know sometimes it feels like it's just me, right? I don't know how to say this person's name. You guys know I'm terrible at this. Rob Stringer, the chairman of Sony Music Group, has been vocal in pushing for this change based on a report published in May 30 of this year. According to him, free streaming doesn't make enough money. Now, see, that's the reason why I continue to keep saying it. Because chairmen of large record labels are saying it also. I didn't hear it from Rob. I don't know his take, but me and Rob have one thing in common. Me and Rob, the chairman of Sony Music Group, we agree that free streaming doesn't make enough money. So instead, he's advocating for streaming services to charge a modest fee for listening at the freemium tier. So that means all of us, myself included, I listen to free streamed music, and I think it's bullshit. I listen to the ad version of YouTube. I don't pay for YouTube. I don't pay to listen to musicians, and that's bullshit. I think it's at the greatest responsibility that we talk about these problems, and we share them. If no one else is willing to admit that they don't pay musicians unfairly, then I'll admit it. I don't go to enough shows. I don't support enough local businesses, and I don't pay for music. And I treat musicians unfairly because I use only the free versions, ad versions, and I watch advertisements for DSPs and music streaming sites, and the advertising, when I buy products or when I watch advertising, the money that they make for that advertising does not go to the musicians that I claim to love and support. That's the truth. Maybe no one else is willing to admit that but me. But if you listen to, or if you are a freemium subscriber, meaning you don't pay for music, you only have another choice. You can have a choice to subscribe to one of these psychopath, app companies and developers like Spotify. You can opt in, and then your money will probably still not go to the artists that you love and support. So I don't know what to do about it. All right, let's see what the guy says. But at least we can agree, me and good old Rob here, that free streaming doesn't make enough money. And that's how he's starting his argument. It's not that he wants more money, right? He's starting his argument with artists don't get enough money. And I'm glad that he's starting his argument there. Is that something's been wrong with the stream all day. That's crazy. But me and Rob agree there. The sentiment isn't isolated. A recent Goldman Sachs report echoes Stringer's call, proposing that streaming platforms change their free options to make more money and get more people to pay for subscriptions. I mean, to some degree, it makes me think like, are they just trying to force people to pay for subscriptions? Like, there's a reason people do the free tier. It's because we don't want to pay for the garbage app. Maybe if there were apps that were better than Spotify, maybe I would consider paying for it. Maybe more people would consider if music streaming apps helped you support musicians more interactively, would you guys feel comfortable paying for streaming apps? Oh wait, Scott's got something here. I just want to know from you guys. I don't know, you know what I mean? Like I'm just I'm reading this transparently. You guys know where I stand on streaming, but like I'm not an app developer. You know what I mean? I don't write code or dig microchips out of the dirt. I'm not that smart. I do play guitar though, and I can sing a song for you. Even before these, the shift away from free tiers is already underway. Tidal and Deezer, two respected players in the streaming arena, already got rid of their free tier options earlier this year. Listen to this, everybody. This leaves Spotify and YouTube Music as the last major holdouts still offering ad-supported streaming. What do you guys think about this? What do you guys think, man? What do you guys use to stream music? When you guys listen to music, what do you listen to? I'm old, so I listen to YouTube. What do you guys fuck with? Like, what do you guys when you guys look up music, what do you use? YouTube. Yeah. That's just cuz like it's whatever with me, you know. I'm not I've always like I've always been like a CD guy, and then when they got rid of CDs, I was like, okay, I'm a YouTube person. So I don't know. I think if I had to subscribe to one, it would be YouTube. You know, if the idea is okay, subscribing to YouTube, I wish there was a way I knew I was helping artists that I like. Do you see what the point is for me? Like I have an issue with the YouTube thing because I might I might get a subscription if I thought it was helping the artists that I was listening to. If my what is it, $100 a year for Spotify? If I gave YouTube $100 a year so I could have all of the music on YouTube, then I wouldn't have a problem with it if I knew that that $100 was going to the artists that I supported, though. Do you see what I'm saying? So the reason why, so this is what I'm saying. This is the problem that I have. This is why, this is why I listen to free music and I really shouldn't. Okay, because the reason why I listen to free music, and I am a hypocrite, just like all of us. We all know that musicians should be paid fairly for music, but none of us, even if you have a subscription, none of us are participating in any programs or any products. None of us have purchased any observable gadgets or goods or products that observably compensate musicians fairly. When you put a quarter in the jukebox, you don't know if that quarter is going to MC Hammer. You know what I mean? For real. When you bought that TLC CD in 1992, you don't know for sure if they was getting that money or not. And when you subscribe to Spotify and YouTube because you love Sepsis and Dead by Wednesday and Casket Robbery, you don't know if we're really getting that money. You don't know if we're really getting, if you don't know if we're benefiting from you having a subscription. If you have a subscription to iTunes for a year and maybe you pay $100, you don't know if the artists that you support are seeing any of that. And the sad part is you might have only signed up to YouTube. You might not only, maybe you only use YouTube to try to discover artists that you've never seen before or that aren't recommended or presented right in front of you. Many of us aren't into the algorithmic artists. Not all of us are interested in algorithmic music. Some of us are interested in discovering music on our own. So yeah, that's a tough one, man. But but once again, I will say this though. You see people talking about it. You know, when I started talking about this, 4, 5, 6 years ago, people laughed at me for bringing this stuff up. And this isn't good news, but like gambling or like an addiction to alcohol, right? You can't really do anything about streaming until we all recognize that we all kind of fucked up with this. And that us having conversations about it isn't whining. That's the kinds of words, this is the kind of English that leads to hope. And that's why many more people are starting to talk about it. And that part does feel nice. Let's talk about how this could affect artists. The industry shift could mean a lot for both listeners and artists. People who are used to free music might need to rethink how they listen. Here we go. Now see, when I say stuff like this, people think I'm crazy. Here we go. People who are used to free music might need to rethink how they listen. But this change could help artists get paid more, especially those who aren't very famous. I think that's key. It's nothing bad is going to happen to Taylor Swift, if we get rid of TikTok or Spotify. Not that we're getting rid of it. I'm just making an example. I'm just saying if today, Daniel Ek took the keys out of the car, and went home, Taylor Swift will be fine. People who are used to free music might need to rethink how they listen. But this change could help artists get paid more, especially those who aren't very famous. Consider this. In 2023, 86% of songs on big streaming services were played less than 1,000 times. This shows how hard it is for many artists to make money in the current system. Even a nominal charge for current free tiers could make a big difference. Experts think that adding an even just a $1 fee could bring in between $465.6 million and 1164 billion every year around the world, depending on uptake rates. My question is, side note, how do you know that independent artists are going to get that money though? That's the thing I would say there though. That'd be my next question. It's like, great, you know what I mean? Everyone has to pay for music now. It sounds good. That's why I said this is tricky. You know what I mean? Like everybody pays for music now. All right, cool. But how do we know when we're paying for the music? How do we know the right artists are getting compensated fairly from that big pool? That big royalty pool is normally used to give bonuses and reward only the elite. You know, at the end, everyone gets paid from this big mechanical royalty pool, and the artists that do better than everyone else, they're the ones that receive the biggest shares. So the people that can afford the biggest ads, the biggest tours, the people that are already, enormously popular are the ones that naturally are going to inherit the largest metrics in mechanical royalties from the pool. See what I'm saying? That's when you have $100 subscription to Spotify and your favorite artists in town, the local artists in town are the reason for you trying out the Spotify service. If your $100 subscription, if you pay $100 subscription to Spotify to support these artists in your town, that $100 doesn't go to a pool that rewards or benefits independent artists. Your $100 subscription goes into a much larger pool that pays the privileged and celebrity artists on any given platform, and that's all of them. I mean, on that. So I love the idea of everyone paying for music, but even if we all pay for music, how do we know that artist is getting compensated fairly? They're making the argument here that they need to make these transitions because, as they mentioned before, they want to use the noble motive that artists aren't getting paid appropriately as it is, and that's why there needs to be these changes so artists can get compensated. But I say, if that's the case, what security features or measures are there to make sure that the artists themselves are actually receiving the mechanical royalties out of this larger pool? It's awfully confusing. The report also highlights the need for an improved monetization strategy. According to it, monetization of music content has significantly lagged behind consumption. I just said that at the beginning of the conversation. I said that we were all guilty of this type of consumerism, and I said the monetization of music content has significantly lagged behind consumption. Meaning we consume a lot of music and we're not willing to pay for it. This is myself included. Since 2017, people have been listening to 4 times as much music, but the money made per stream has gone down. Since 2017, people have been listening to 4 times as much music, but the money made per stream has gone down. Improved monetization through higher ad loads, introducing an advertising light tier for a small charge, and better segmentation of freemium users are seen as potential solutions. That sounds like a mess to me, but that's me. That seems messy. But the impact of these changes would affect different countries in different ways. So we're not all gonna have the same circumstances regardless, even if that were to be the solution. In emerging economies where $5 might equate to multiple full premium subscriptions, implementing even a modest fee could prove challenging. Meanwhile, mature markets like the USA are already witnessing a slowdown in subscriber growth, adding urgency for new monetization strategies. Wow. This is the future of streaming monetization. They have an individual package, $11.99. It's like when you pay $11.99 a month to listen to your favorite artists, how do you know that your artists are getting that $11.99? Well, we know in this case for Spotify they're not, but like in any other case, when you pay $5.99 per month, this is student discount for eligible students, I guess. That's I do like that. I think that that's cool. I mean, I think for kids, young people going to school, they got especially if they want to keep young people listening to the app, they're gonna have to give back to them. This is the Duo 2 premium accounts. This is like you and your girlfriend kind of thing. 15 hours month, 15 hours month of listening time from our audiobook subscriber catalog. That's gross. Family, $19 a month. $19 a month for Daniel Ek. That's tough. Access to Spotify Kids. Like this stuff, none of this stuff even, this doesn't even feel good. Individual, that, I mean, honestly, all this feels like that's why I haven't subscribed. It's a bad deal. Looking ahead, it's likely we'll see more paid tiers and fewer completely free options. I think that's true. Spotify's recent price hike for its premium tier to $11.99 per month in the US is just the tip of the iceberg in this broader trend towards improved monetization strategies. It's not just about price increases, though. Streaming platforms are also modernizing their payout models to address concerns about fair compensation. Let's hear it. Deezer and Spotify, for instance, have recently changed their payment systems to reward artists based on how much people listen to their music, not just how many times it's played. Interesting. Interesting English. Beyond price increases, there is also an opportunity to improve monetization through better audience segmentation. We just got a little bit more, y'all. There's a growing interest in developing super premium plans for super fans. This takes inspiration from the K-pop industry's success in monetizing fandom through exclusive content and experiences. They're not naming the sites here, but there are specific sites that do it. Oh, they name it here. Hype's Weverse. Platforms like Hype's Weverse let fans and artists communicate, purchase exclusive content, and engage more, resulting in better monetization. So it's like a social media app for musicians. Not like we haven't seen that before. It's an approach that could revolutionize the streaming landscape if replicated by other services. Plus, it won't just open up about revenue streams, but also enhance the fan experience. I've always said we're never going to get rid of these fucking people, but it is nice to see that there's a lot more being talked about in mainstream news to encourage a difference in the way that we think about the value of our music, how we decide we want to move forward, behaving and treating the industry as far as fair compensation, and also how we love and want to invest in the artists that we have come to love and respect, in the people and the musicians that play a major role in the soundtrack to our daily lives. You know? I gotta do this one because it's funny. Yo, John, be cool, man. Thank you for hanging out. I know. We're about to get going after this little one. Hans, you don't need no more trees, bro. Thank you. Thank you, my brother. Thanks for sharing it out, guys. So many people got the shits at download that there's now an investigation. Take a moment. This is from Metal Sucks. I haven't read this. I just thought it was funny because, with large festivals, with anything, with construction, if you're building a skyscraper, it's not like how many TVs can we fit in this house. It's more like, how many urinals are we going to put in this mall? How many shitters are we going to put in this prison? Like when they build a structure, like an occupied structure, or even when you have an outdoor festival, you got to figure out, where you're going to where's everyone going to use the bathroom? How's everyone going to eat? Where are people going to sleep? How are people going to be people? We're a funny species. We forget all day that we're animals. We forget all day that we're born naked. We forget all day that one time we used to live out in the caves and dirt and the woods and shit like that. So I just think it's funny that we just forget. We've been convinced that we're in charge of all the animals and insects. We get this idea, kind of illusion. We tell stories about ourselves that we're at the right hand of the creator. And maybe that's true. I'm not here to dispute that, but I'm just saying we are constantly in that God mode, right? Where humanity and humankind, as somehow we are like kings and rulers over the rest of our environment and the creatures and microbiology, even though we can't see it or classify it all or identify it. No matter how many things that we can circle and put a word around, we can't see everything. We can't define everything, but somehow we have complete dominance and rulership, even over the things we don't understand, even over the things we cannot see. Somehow, that's how we've grown up. So I think it's funny that people are out in the field and they forget, you know what I mean? Like, figuring out where to take a shit is a big deal. It's so overlooked. We think that we're the masters of the universe all the time, but really, we haven't figured out what to do with poop. So that's why I love articles like this. Let's take a moment and think of all the things that you'd expect to experience at a major music festival like Download. If you're a normal person, I don't know who wrote this article, but I think that's humor, right? If you're a normal person, you'd probably expect things like good music, expensive food, maybe you get a little sunburned, but most importantly, you'd expect to have a good time. Why you shouldn't expect, and what apparently some people experience at this year's Download, is horrific diarrhea and food poisoning. According to the BBC, organizers are trying to determine why fans got sick after eating some of the food available on site as at last week's Download Festival. Apparently, 2 food stalls were shut down during the event because people started getting sick. And while a spokesperson from the Northwest Liechtenstein District Council said officials were only aware of 6 people that got sick, social media accounts suggested that the problem was more widespread. One attendee named Willis Ellis said he woke up one day after eating some of the food on offer at the festival, quote, with the most painful stomach ache. It was so bad, in fact, that he apparently spent most of the day shitting his brains out instead of enjoying a live concert experience. Damn. Wow. That's tough, man. That's tough. That's tough. Um, Apparently things were so bad that food poisoning news, yes, that's a real site, report that as many as 500 people may have gotten sick in an event that they're calling a real food poisoning epidemic. Oh man, I don't know. I don't know, man. We live in a silly time. Live Nation has since responded to the situation, stating that they'd inspect all food vendors at the event, but it says but they. That's all it says, you guys. It says but they, and then it stops. I'm sorry. Though an official explanation hasn't been given just yet, first-hand reports suggest that if you ate any of the Yorkshire pudding wraps or the beef brisket, chances are you're going to be inverting your bowels for a few hours. But you'd already know that by now. So there you guys go. I hope you enjoy that. And this is for you people in New Hampshire. So I don't know if you guys are worried about this like real ID thing. So next year, if you want to like take planes and stuff like that, you need a real ID. I was gonna tell everybody what they needed. I know some people are terrified about this sort of thing. I see. I don't know what the fuck this is talking about. Oh, okay. So the Real ID Act is passed now. It was passed nearly 20 years ago, I guess. It was a 9/11 um, law. After some of those um, after some of those goofballs, I guess, fraudulently obtained identification. The idea behind the Real ID Act was to make identity documents secure and consistent from state to state. It's taken nearly 20 years to roll it out because the states needed to get up to speed and enforce. It kept getting delayed. Yeah, well, that's how things work. If you've ever grown up in the state, get a real ID. You need the documentation to show the following: your full name, date of birth. You need documentation. Your social security number, two proofs of address, and lawful status. I don't know what the fuck that means. That sounds wild. Some documents you have will check several of these boxes. For example, I hate to be on a run right now. For example, a passport could prove your name, date of birth, and lawful status. Okay, cool. Some documents you have. We have some of that. So that's what you guys are gonna have to have. As far as your social security number, if you do not have a social security card, the Department of Homeland Security says that you can show any of the following official documents that have your social security number on them: a W-2 form, and these other 1099 forms, a pay stub showing your no. There you go. There you go. If you don't have a real ID by the deadline, but you have a passport, you can still show that to fly domestically. Look at that. So you could fly, but you won't be able to do so unless you have one of these IDs or a passport. There you go, guys. This guy's an attractive gentleman, isn't he? I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. It was a wiggly start over here. But I really hope that you guys continue out the week. We have some other good stories coming up. There's actually a lot of good news coming out in the music industry. So I want to be able to share this with you as it emerges. Some cool new things for DIY and independent artists go. I never want any type of yo. I'm already scared of like festival food, circus food. I've always been terrified of it. So I'm kind of with you. They're fun OSHA. Listen to Hans. Would you stop? You just like saying words like OSHA. You're one of those guys that loves saying OSHA to let everybody know that there's something called OSHA. But like OSHA is for people that God. You guys have a great day. Take care of each other. I'll see you tomorrow on William versus the World.